Get ready for full throttle coverage as we shift into high gear for Business at the Brickyard, presented by LiUNA with support from the City of Westfield and Daniel's Family Vineyard and Winery. We're giving you the inside track on the powerful connection between motorsports and the Indiana economy. Join us at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for exclusive interviews, behind-the-scenes access, and the stories that drive the business of motorsports. So buckle up and join us for Emmy Award-winning Business at the Brickyard coverage all month long. If this doesn't represent Indiana's stamp on the world, then what does? This is May. This is Indianapolis.
Drivers, start your engines!
This is the time Hoosiers celebrate the greatest spectacle in racing. And this, our month-long commitment to provide perspective on how the business of motorsports is driving big bucks into the Hoosier economy.
Joseph Newgarden is a two-time Indy 500 winner! Oh my goodness!
This is Inside Indiana Business, Business at the Brickyard, presented by LiUNA with support from the City of Westfield and Daniel's Family Vineyard and Winery.
Indiana's business news leader. This is IBJ Media's Inside Indiana Business with Gerry Dick, presented by Elevate Ventures, Indiana University, and LiUNA.
Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business from the racing capital of the world, the iconic Indianapolis Motor Speedway, as we begin our Emmy Award-winning Business at the Brickyard coverage all during the month of May. I'm Gerry Dick. We're at ground level here at Victory Circle, where in a little more than a month, a driver will be sipping the milk and really heading into immortality as the winner of the 109th running of the Indianapolis 500. We are early in the month, but already veterans and newbies have been hitting the track to test their cars and hone their skills getting around this globally famous 2.5-mile oval. And we will be out here the entire month of May bringing you the business side and the overall economic impact of motorsports in Indiana. It's big. It adds up to more than $1 billion annually, from the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway to the dirt tracks in southwest Indiana.
This is just the 7 races we've raced this year.
To the growing movement to get more women involved in all levels of racing. To the new $60 million makeover that has created a new IMS Museum. If you haven't seen it yet, it is can't miss. It includes attention to detail, like those with physical challenges that are addressed in the new museum as well. To the possibility this year's race could be the first sellout since the 100th running in 2016. That and so much more as we celebrate the month of May in Indianapolis. And joining me now is one of the great ambassadors for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and motorsports in general, Doug Boles, the president of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and IndyCar. And Doug, as always, thanks for joining me.
Happy to be here, especially on a sunny day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as we lead into spring.
Absolutely. May is here. The sun is out. Boy, it's a great time to be in Indianapolis. And as you look forward to the race, lots of barometers on how popular things are. A big one is ticket sales. And there's a lot of talk about maybe a sellout in the grandstand for only the second time ever.
Absolutely. I think we're right now today as we tape this, we're a little under 10,000 tickets up over where we were last year at this time, which means that we likely sell out the grandstand sometime around qualifying weekend or a little bit thereafter. So if the pace continues like it has the last few years, I think that'll be a case.
Sports in general, very competitive arena to sell tickets, to get people to attend. What does it say that the grandstands may be sold out race day about the Indianapolis 500?
Well, first of all, it says a lot about our fans. Our fans love this, and they bring new people every year. And it is the fans that has allowed us to really have these great momentum over the last 10 years as we've been continuing to grow the Indy 500. The racing has been spectacular. We've got some stars that people know. I mean, those are the things that help. So it's really a tribute to the fans, and then just how long this race has been around and what it means to people when they're here.
The economic impact of motorsports is really undeniable in Indianapolis and certainly statewide. As you look at that impact, how would you to maybe non-race fans out there in the audience, how would you characterize that economic impact of motorsports?
I think people think of motorsport as entertainment, and they don't realize the livelihoods that motorsport supports. You know, we did our economic impact study last year, about $1.1 billion related to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the events we have here and those folks that participate in it. But you think of things like Andretti Global and the investment that they're making here, Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan, the investments that they've made in central Indiana. Those are big-time real investments that make a huge difference to our economy, and it is an engine that drives the economy here in central Indiana.
You mentioned F1 and some of the other teams, the investment. It seems as though the investment in motorsports in Indianapolis, in Indiana, is on the rise.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with there's a lot of folks here that understand the sport, so that makes it easier. I think it's easy to do business in Indiana. That helps us as well. So we have a lot of things going for us right now. But really, you think about the roots of motorsports start right here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 115, 116 years of this place being around has really allowed us to have that reputation of if you want to be in motorsport and have a business, the place to do is central Indiana.
All sports is about competition, but as you look at motorsports, that competitive edge, that constant changing of technology, research and development, partnerships with business and aerospace, all the different companies, that probably adds to that economic impact in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. So motorsport is entertainment, but there are all kinds of other pieces of it that it touches business elsewhere. You think about Dallara down the street, builds the cars for IndyCar. They do all kinds of military and aerospace work right here in Indianapolis. You've got Team McLaren, who obviously runs in motorsport everywhere, but that's an automotive manufacturer and a technology manufacturer. So having all these motorsports teams is sort of the advertising for bigger businesses that are involved with each other.
As you talk about advertising or spreading the brand, if you will, of motorsports in Indiana, would you like to see anything different or new to kind of get out there and promote motorsports more globally, maybe as a business?
Well, I know we've talked locally here about, is there something around the Speed City mark? Can we talk more about the fact that when you're in Indianapolis, it's racing, but we can get business done quickly? There's all kinds of things around that make a lot of sense. For us, we just want to be supportive of the greater community, not just Indianapolis, but the entire state. And we just want to do our part to make sure that we're telling people, if you want to do business and you're not already located in Indiana, you need to get here.
Doug Boles, always great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Yep.
We're going to be back with Doug a little bit later in the show. He's got an expanded role now as president of IndyCar. We'll also check out what's new, what fans can expect new here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway a little bit later in the show. It is the month of May in Indianapolis, and we'll learn more about the organization that drives the celebration of community, history, and driving fast on four wheels. The mission and the tremendous impact of the 500 Festival. That's when we come back.
The newly renovated Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum adding modern-era cars to its collection. 14 of them from Chip Ganassi Racing, including 5 Ganassi Indianapolis 500 winners, now all inside the museum, making it its largest acquisition since 2011.
Welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and our Business at the Brickyard series. You know, when the green flag drops for the 109th running of the Indianapolis 500 on May 27th, it will basically be the culmination of a month-long celebration of all things Indiana. Feet, not race cars and tires, pounding the pavement to kick off things at the 500 Festival Mini Marathon. It's the largest half marathon in the country. More than 20,000 people running, walking, or rolling from downtown Indianapolis to the iconic 2.5-mile oval and back. By the way, an IndyCar can cover that 13.1-mile journey in less than 4 minutes, depending on the track layout and speed. Not the only community event the 500 Festival puts together for the city and the region. I spoke with 500 Festival CEO Bob Bryant about the organization's overall impact in Indianapolis during the month of May and beyond.
But we're likely on a $40-50 million annual clip of direct economic impact. But I think, again, that value from a cultural and social standpoint, I think is valuable, for residents, but also for visitors and also for businesses that are trying to attract talent here.
The 500 Festival, certainly one of the great traditions, one of the great organizations with a big impact here in Indianapolis for some 60 years. From Indy to Evansville, the first stop on a 9-city tour throughout the Hoosier State for our Innovate Indiana series. And a bit of breaking news. The University of Evansville, our host for an event that attracted more than 300 community leaders, for discussion on the region's big business issues, including construction of the Ohio River Crossing Bridge, the final connection of I-69 between Indiana and Kentucky. There has been frustration in the region about the construction timeline, but Evansville Regional Economic Partnership CEO Lloyd Winnicky tells me things may be changing.
Right now, each state has committed to additional funding to start procurement and design process early so that in 2027, construction can actually begin versus just the design work. A handful of us plan to meet with Transportation Secretary Duffy in mid-May to ask the federal government to consider putting some skin in the game to hopefully accelerate it even more. But it's the largest regional infrastructure project probably since the levee was constructed after the 1937 flood.
Meantime, as Indiana farmers begin to get crops in the ground, they have one eye on Washington and tariff talk. Our Mary Rachel Redmond is there with more on that story and business headlines from around the state.
Here's what's making news around Indiana. Brought to you by the Indiana Association of Realtors. Indiana's 21,000 realtors. The neighbors you know, the experts you can count
Gerry,
on.
greetings from the nation's capital, where tariffs and trade talks are heating up on Capitol Hill. For lawmakers, it's a political debate, but for farmers in Indiana, there's a lot at stake.
If I look across all of agriculture in Indiana, and I would go as far as saying, not just the cropping side, but the livestock, the protein side. And I would say in general, we're okay, but there's a lot of people that are fearful. They don't know the outcome of the tariff actions that are taking place right now.
A new trade policy will also be great for the American farmer. I love the farmer. I always say tariffs is the most beautiful word to me in the dictionary.
The tariffs will allow negotiations to start. I can tell you, talking to my friends that are involved in these discussions, the amount of negotiating that's taking place right now with countries like Vietnam and Indonesia, Malaysia, India, and others throughout Latin America and Europe, it's extensive.
Lawmakers are split.
China increased their tariffs on the United States. Trump blinked.
While Hoosier farmers may be feeling the pinch right now, Tom's parting message?
We should never put our short-term prosperity ahead of our long-term security. And that's part of why we're looking at these trade deals right now is we put that short-term prosperity ahead of our long-term security. And that's where we are at risk with China. They are our largest existential threat to the United States of America. And I can tell you, traveling the world and the role I served in Rome, there is no second America. There is no second America. So we need to get this right. And I'm proud that we're having these tariffs take action right now. I'm hoping we can get past them quickly. But again, the deal is we need fair trade and we need to make sure it works.
Also making headlines around the Hoosier state, a big win for Warsaw. Startup automaker Slade appears ready to make its flagship product there, a bare-bones electric pickup truck. The new production facility will likely be built on the site of the former LSC Communications printing press. Several big names have invested in Slade, including Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. And in Lafayette, trailer manufacturer Wabash reporting a big jump in first quarter profits with a net income of $231 million, up more than $18 million from this time last year. However, CEO Brent Yegi says tariffs are having an impact on the company's results with lower than expected revenue.
All right, Mary Rachel, thank you. We have much more to come from the world's greatest race course.
Here at the new museum, they're taking extra steps to make sure every fan can get in on the action. We'll have the details coming up in the Business of Health.
Welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Arts, culture, and education in the spotlight, and a new destination for the city of Indianapolis. The IMS Museum in April completing a $60 million makeover, essentially creating a new museum here. And it includes improvements and opportunities for the physically challenged. Business of Health reporter Kylie Valletta has that story.
Keeping wellness and accessibility top of mind at the new museum is a way to welcome more fans and even employees.
Hi. You need tickets?
David Andrews knows a thing or two about race day.
59 years in a row. I see some of the cars and I go, oh yeah, I remember that race.
In addition to his history with the Indy 500, his unique position.
Okay, So how do you do this?
Helps him relate to race fans who are disabled visiting the museum.
This is gas, and then this is the brake.
I asked, were you able to try this, go here, what did you think of this? And feedback's been just fantastic. Everybody is just over the moon about, wow, I was able to do this.
The new museum wanted to go the extra mile to make it more accessible.
ADA accessibility is always it's just the law, you have to do it. But we wanted to do more than that, and we have the opportunity to do more than just the bare minimum.
A racing simulator is not only wheelchair friendly, but also controlled by hand paddles rather than foot pedals, so anyone can test their skills.
This is great.
Even more features in the qualifying zone are designed with wheelchairs in mind. And if you need a break from the high-octane activities, a wellness room for quiet time or nursing mothers. The museum is also certified sensory inclusive by Culture City.
We have icons that kind of let our guests know. There's a headphone zone, so you might want to wear your headphones in here, or might be some light sensitivity or sound sensitivity. We have sensory bags that include the things like the headphones that you can check out for free.
Giving the green flag to every racing fan.
There you go.
And now that the museum is open, they're hearing suggestions from fans who come to visit. So the museum is open to adding even more wellness features they hadn't even thought of yet. Back to you.
All right, Kylie, thank you. Coming up next, more with Indianapolis Motor Speedway President Doug Boles. We'll talk about attracting younger fans to the Indy 500. The impact of the snake pit and a new Grand Marshal there. That's when we come back.
Time now for our Eye on Education, brought to you by PNC Bank.
For the first time in 21 years, Indiana has a world champion first robotics team. Maverick Robotics from McCutcheon High School in Lafayette, bringing home the victory alongside two other teams in their alliance.
I've never been through anything like that in my life before. Have confetti cannons go off and everybody's just screaming.
Each year, teams design, program, and build a robot to complete specific tasks during a challenge.
Newton is up, but only by a few points.
These are little mini businesses that operate, that have to think about deadlines, that have to think about teamwork, that have to think about funding and sustainability.
First Indiana Robotics says they've seen 30 to 40% growth within their program in the last 2 years.
Right as time runs out.
The goal is to connect students with industry leaders and mentors.
Any kid in any building can be on a first team. Any adult from any background could be a mentor in our program. The real secret of our program is this preparing kids for what's next.
The celebration that began in Houston lasted all the way back to Indiana, where the team was greeted by their local alliance.
We managed to have about 150 people there, so students and teachers and some community members, and they got a lot of videos and memories that'll last a long time.
And welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as we continue our month-long Business at the Brickyard series. Pleased to be joined once again by Indianapolis Motor Speedway and IndyCar President Doug Boles. And Doug, a lot of fans are going to be out here during the month of May, of course. What can they expect? There's always something new out here. What can they expect new?
Yeah, so a lot of the things that we did this year were really truly for that customer experience. So we've invested a lot in some of our concession stands, trying to make sure there's throughput. One of the things we do every year is this post-event survey, and one of the biggest challenges is how long a fan has to stand in line to get food before they can get back to the grandstand. So we've been working on changing that. Some of those concession stands have been here since the 60s, so just thinking through the throughput and the equipment we have, so we did a lot of that. The top of the pagoda right behind us actually will work this year, so I'm pretty excited about that being lit up. And then across the way from us, the paddock grandstands, which is the roof below above the paddock and below the paddock penthouse, had really not been touched since it was built in the 1960s. So we spent a little over $1 million just going through that steel, making sure it was okay. It's lead-based paint, so you had to go through and abate all of that. So it was a long project, but going in there right now feels like you're in a new venue.
Give you a chance to brag on the Speedway a little bit. Is there another venue, major sports venue in the United States that invests back as much as you do here? Because it seems like every year there's another, not little, but a major project.
I think so for a lot of our iconic facilities. So you think about Wrigley Field or Churchill Downs. For facilities like that, where what makes it special is you're sitting in the place that your grandparents sat in or whatever, I think those facilities do. A lot of the new stadiums is sort of, hey, we're going to tear it down and build a new one, so we can't do that. So we are constantly investing, and I would guess over the time since Roger purchased the Speedway, we put close to $100 million in the customer experience.
Wow. Tradition is such a big part of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The snake pit is a tradition. Now, back in my day, I remember the snake pit. It is so popular now. It's returned. It went away for a while. It's certainly returned. It's almost an event entity in and of itself. How big has the snake pit been, especially when it comes to kind of diversifying demographics, younger people?
So it's the best marketing tool we have for a young adult under the age of 25, and it's music. And you're right. So almost 25,000 young adults who almost don't even care that a race is taking place, right? So, but for us, we get to know who they are, we get their name, we get their email, we can communicate with them. And anecdotally, I'm seeing snake pit fans who now are going, you know what? I may go see one artist, but this is what I do with my buddies. We're going to get a grandstand seat. So you're seeing people do what we had hoped they do. This is what I do on Memorial Day Sunday. I'm going to go sit in the grandstands and just enjoy it.
All right. This year, there's a grand marshal, right, of the snake pit.
Yes.
Gronk.
Yes. We caught a little heat for that, being Colts fans, right? To bring in a Patriot, and Tom Brady will be here as well because of his Fox relationship, right? So that's a little weird for us to be Colts fans and have these guys that we love to hate here as part of the event. But Gronk's personality is going to be so great in the snake pit. We're excited to have it.
Yeah, I can't imagine a better grand marshal for the snake pit. Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Inside Indiana Business from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But we are just getting started with our Business at the Brickyard coverage all month here at IMS.
Into 3 and 4.
Next week, we put the pedal to the metal.
But Sheldon Haudenschild finally breaks through at the Tri-State Speedway.
At one of Indiana's most famous dirt tracks. Plus, a look at how women are becoming more involved in motorsports at all levels. Those stories and much more coming up next week. I'm Gerry Dick from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Thanks for joining us. Go out and make it a successful week. Get ready for full throttle coverage as we shift into high gear for Business at the Brickyard, presented by LiUNA with support from the City of Westfield and Daniel's Family Vineyard and Winery. We're giving you the inside track on the powerful connection between motorsports and the Indiana economy. Join us at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for exclusive interviews, behind-the-scenes access, and the stories that drive the business of motorsports. So buckle up and join us for Emmy Award-winning Business at the Brickyard coverage all month long.